Okay, the 10-piece wardrobe, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do t-shirts count in a 10-piece wardrobe, or are they supposed to be some extra piece or something? Anyways, 6, 7. What about jackets? Like, even if they have short sleeves, is this a jacket? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What about my socks? 13 or not 13? Underwear, my bra, 14, 15. And I have more underwear in my suitcase, and I have a couple of more t-shirts in my suitcase, and I have another jacket. So I don't know what I'm up to. Anyway, the 10-piece wardrobe, is that even a thing, or is this like some kind of lifestyle gaslighting that influencers make us think that we should be doing, and then we feel bad because we can't do it because we all have closets stuffed full of clothes? Let's discuss that. Hi, my name is Raina, and this is Small Retired Life, and on my channel we talk about retirement, lifestyle over 50, 60, 70, but quite frankly any age, because the 10-piece wardrobe, it's marketed at just about any age group if you look at YouTube. So let's dive in and let's talk about the 10-piece wardrobe. Okay, so 10 items. I mean 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Count them on your fingers. I've been living out of a suitcase for the last 2 months. I've been wearing very few things, but I definitely have more than 10 things. Even if you were to look at my little clip of what I wear in a day that I showed at the beginning of this video, and you were to add up all of the things I was wearing, there was probably more than 10 things, and I certainly brought more than 10 things with me. And then, you know, there's the age-old question. Do pajamas count? Do workout clothes count? Apparently those don't count because it's 10 core pieces. And what constitutes a core piece? Like, is it a dress because it's a dress and not a t-shirt? But what about if I wear my t-shirt almost every day and it's a core staple in my wardrobe? Then why isn't it a core piece? I get confused by all the rules, don't you? And it's kind of interesting. You see these YouTubers with very sleek, very curated, aspirational 10-piece wardrobes that are somehow supposed to miraculously change our life, make us more minimal, and, you know, make us feel happier. I question that. It's almost like a form of lifestyle gaslighting in a way. Women consistently are made to feel like they're not good enough. You're too old, your skin's not good enough, you're too heavy, you're not heavy enough. There's this barrage of constant things that we're supposed to feel guilty about. And now it's our wardrobes because, you know, we might have too many things. Now, I get that I'm exaggerating, but all of this kind of content can make you feel bad about where you're at in your journey to either declutter, minimize your closets, and live more consciously by buying and consuming more consciously. The reality is that most of us live in varying climates. And if you really take a good look at some of these 10-item wardrobe situations, it's these 10 core pieces that someone wears for a season, so 3 months. So technically there's 4 seasons, so 4 times 10 is 40. So that's actually 40 items in a wardrobe. And on top of that, there's all these extra pieces which comprise workout wear and t-shirts and underwear and coats and shoes. And you know, by the time you look at all of that, I mean, frankly, our wardrobes are probably in the hundreds. If you were to take out every single thing in your closet, every single piece of anything that you wear, I bet you're looking at hundreds of items. If you live in a 4-season climate, that's not unusual. Now, I've been here in Australia for the last 2 months and it's been hot. I have lived with the tiniest wardrobe I've ever had in ages for a span of 2 months. I probably have around, not counting underwear, let's say around 20 pieces, including my t-shirts, my workout wears, my jackets, my shoes, and my day-to-day clothing. I also had to purchase extra things because some of the things I brought just weren't suitable for this climate. I'm coming from Calgary to Australia. The pieces that I wear in Calgary, even in the summer, are not necessarily the right pieces to be wearing in Melbourne. How does it feel to be wearing like this minimal amount of clothing? Well, super boring. I mean, it's been 2 months and I'm beginning to hate absolutely everything. And also, who is this mythical 10-item wardrobe for? The linen dress that makes perfect sense in Melbourne is not something that's going to work in Calgary, maybe 2 days out of the summer. And so, if you're only going to wear a dress for 2 days out of the summer, it really shouldn't be in your 10-piece core wardrobe. So it's good to keep in mind that these minimal wardrobes really are geography dependent. It amuses me that a lot of the 10-piece wardrobe proponents often live in warmer places because it's just easier to have a smaller wardrobe when you are living in an area where the weather is more constant. I bet you that in Calgary, I have like at least 5 or 6 coats. I have a coat for -30. I have a coat for -10. I have a coat for shoveling my driveway when it's super cold out. I have a dress coat. I have a coat for when it's 0 to about +10. I have hoodies for when we're at around 14 degrees, 15 degrees, and I'm out taking walks. It's really hard to have a 10-item wardrobe if you're living in a climate that has a high degree of variability to it. And yet, somehow, I feel bad that I can't achieve this aspirational 10-item wardrobe. A lot of this content that we see about these, 10-item wardrobes and minimal wardrobes, I mean, they're great in the sense that they maybe inspire us to consume less things and have smaller wardrobes. But I'm hoping that people just kind of identify that some of this content is just not real. It's not reality. I'm retired and technically I use and wear less clothing than someone who has to go to work every day. And I still don't have a 10-item wardrobe. I don't think I'd want to have a 10-item wardrobe because I like a little bit of variety. I don't like clutter, and I like my closet to look wonderful, but the reality is that I do enjoy some variety in my life. Life is too short to wear boring clothes. No one ever said in a eulogy, "Oh, she had a capsule wardrobe." I know that's a little morbid, but it's the truth. I think my message in this video is stop feeling guilty. I don't know why this kind of came up at this stage of my being on my 2-month hiatus in Melbourne. Maybe because I have been living out of a suitcase and I have been living in a very limited wardrobe situation, and so I've been thinking about it more. I think the key is to consume less stuff. You don't need 10 white t-shirts. Probably half of that will get you through life. I don't think you need to keep clothes in your closet because you think one day you're going to fit into them or even though you haven't worn the item for 5 years, you might one day. I believe we need to be really critical of our closets and assess them with a realistic eye. What is it that we're actually wearing that's in there? Is the closet at the point where you can't shove another hanger in it? And so maybe it's time to kind of reduce the amount of things that you have. Clearly, you'll have things that you can purge right away. Everybody does. But the rest of the stuff, I would say, be careful about how you purge, because sometimes you purge so much that then you have to go and rebuy some of the things you purged. A good trick for your closet to start off this journey is to take all your hangers and face the hanging part in one direction. And as you're wearing things, turn that hanging part in the other direction so that you know that you've worn that item. Then at the end of a season, look at what you've worn and what you haven't worn, and then evaluate those items that you haven't worn. The other way to minimize your closet is just to stop buying things. Give yourself a little break from buying stuff. And this has been really great for me being in Melbourne. And now I did have to buy a few things, like I mentioned before, because I just didn't bring a lot with me. My suitcase was full of gifts for my grandkids and my son and his family. And so I didn't bring a lot of stuff with me. And then I had to buy a couple of things when I got here because I just, like, for example, I did not have shorts. I just think that yes, we can all have smaller wardrobes. We can all have a little bit less in our closets and less stuff cluttering up our lives. But I also think we have to look at some of this content, this minimalist wardrobe content, with a very critical view. And you need to ask yourself, is this the right thing for me? Does this make sense for me and my situation and the geography of where I live, the seasons, the weather, and that type of thing? And stop feeling guilty, for crying out loud. We need, as women, we need to stop feeling guilty about all of this kind of stuff, because we dwell on it so much that it actually ruins the joy of just wearing things we enjoy and keeping things we enjoy and feeling free about who we are and how we express ourselves with our clothing. One of my favorite YouTubers, Benita Larson, has a great video about her approach to her minimal wardrobe. That video really resonated with me. I like the fact that she doesn't talk about numbers or how many pieces she has. She talks about a wardrobe that works for her and for her lifestyle. Now, my wardrobe would probably be slightly larger than what she has, but I love her approach and her common sense attitude to her wardrobe. And in a sense, she has almost like a uniform, and it just suits her personality and her life. When I get back to Calgary, I really want to experiment with my wardrobe. I want to take maybe a few pieces each month and limit myself to wearing those pieces and see how I like it. Only do it for a month and then try some new pieces the next month. I want to shop my closet. I don't want to be buying new things. I want to use the things that I have. I'd like to do that over the course of a year and see what I'm wearing, see what I'm reaching for, and keep track of how I'm using my clothing. And that will give me a better concept of what I should and shouldn't be buying and what makes sense for me. I urge you to experiment with your closet, have some fun with it. Maybe consider choosing a time period where you only wear so many pieces and see how that feels for you. That's the great thing about life, is that you can figure out what makes sense for you and you can have fun in the process. I think this whole topic came up for me because I've been packing to go back to Calgary, and I've been living out of my suitcase, and I've had so few things that I've been wearing for the last 2 months. I think it made me focus a little bit on the wardrobe, and I do tend to consume these videos that talk about the 10-item wardrobe, and even if they're well-meaning, I always feel a little bit guilty afterwards. And I'm not even a clutter bug, so, you know, I'm sure there are people out there that feel the same as I do. Next time I come to you, I will be in Calgary. This is it for this week. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll meet each other in much colder weather next week. Bye.